Our fifth speech of the day is entitled Modern Journalism and the Truth from Nathaniel Boulter.
Yeah, Bolt! Sorry about that.
I take full responsibility for the government shutdown. I do. Well, not me as an individual, but me as a member of this citizenry. The citizenry, including all of us in a few years, is responsible for electing an efficient and effective government, and clearly we have failed that task. The 112th Congress was the least productive in the history of the United States, and the 113th is on track to unseat it. In 1956, then Senator John F. Kennedy wrote, "We the people are the boss, and we will get the kind of political leadership, be it good or bad, that we demand and deserve." It seems we are not demanding or deserving of very much. A recent poll revealed that consistent viewers of Fox News are less informed than those who watch no news at all, while MSNBC and CNN viewers didn't score much higher. It's no wonder our government flounders. An uninformed electorate can't be expected to demand a better one. But the failure isn't in our government. The failure isn't even in the people. The failure is in the press. The news organizations like Fox, MSNBC, and CNN that have failed to inform a people that can shape this country for the better. Why are Americans so uninformed? To understand this, we have to look at the disturbing habits of modern journalists. Now more than ever, journalists are writing stories with false equivalency, giving equal weight to each side of the story, even if one side is invalid or untrue. These stories endeavor not to report truthfully, but to report equally. For years, the few scientists who denied climate change were given as much validity and attention in the media as the vast majority of scientists who did not. And so we wasted years we could have spent battling climate change, debating whether it was actually happening. The false balance of the news coverage had convinced the public that there were two credible arguments, when in reality there was only one. This is the crime of this false equivalency, this he said, she said journalism. It lends credence where credence is not due. Of course, not everyone agrees. Founding publisher of the New York Times, Adolph Oaks, said, "Journalists should report all sides of a controversial issue and let the reader decide the truth." But when you include in your reporting the sides of an issue that simply aren't true, and you don't clarify this for the reader, you're not giving the reader a fair chance to decide the truth. To be fair is necessarily to be unbalanced. But this false equivalency is the product of a much deeper issue, the perversion of an idea that journalists think of as sacrosanct: objectivity. The concept of objectivity is well-intentioned. It is the idea that one should report the news without injecting with personal beliefs or opinions. In fact, it was on the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics until 1996. It was taken out, however, because nowadays journalists think this means they can't take a side. To take a side would convey an opinion. So no matter which side's argument the truth and the facts favor, they stay out of it and write balanced, falsely equivalent stories. For example, when the Bush administration was making its case for the war in Iraq in 2003, an intern at the Columbia Journalism Review called the editors of various newspapers to see whether their readers' letters were more opposed to or more in favor of the war in Iraq. Upon calling the newspaper called the Tennessean, the intern learned that about 70% of letters opposed the war, but that the editors were going to try to run as many pro-war letters as possible to avoid the appearance of bias. Trying to be balanced, to be nonpartisan, the Tennessean deceived Americans. Trying to be objective, they obscured the truth. And to value anything over the truth is to betray the purpose of journalism, to accurately inform the people. The perversion of objectivity, however, is not a natural occurrence. Like a lot of things, it's the result of the influence of big money. American news organizations value two things more than any journalistic value: ratings and advertisements, the sources of revenue for the massive media conglomerates that own these organizations. This money culture hinders keeping truth as the goal of journalism. Time is money, and in today's nonstop news cycle, it is quicker to write a he said, she said piece than a complex, truthful one. And you can't write a complex and truthful story anyway. The truth could drive away advertisers, and the complexity could bore customers. In an interview with The Daily Show's Samantha Bee, New York Times reporter Gretchen Morgenson described this paradigm when she said, "There's a rule that if there's something you can't describe in 10 seconds, it is not something you are going to want to cover." So we write with false equivalency. We hold objectivity as inviolable. We simplify the truth into a nice equation with two equally right sides. And as a result, we live in a society where we abhor complexity and the national discourse is simpler, dumber. Where we must divide cleanly into Democrats or Republicans. Where major news organizations run segments debating, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Where we seriously considered a candidate for president who believed that the tax code could be fixed by replacing it with 3 nines, and where we gave rise to a faction that believes that less government is better government unequivocally. Simplicity is nice if things are simple. But the world isn't that simple. This country isn't that simple, and the truth is certainly not that simple. Complex problems require complex solutions, and nuance should be embraced, not disparaged. As C.J. Craig on the television show The West Wing puts it, complexity isn't a vice. So what can we do about a problem so firmly fixed in American society? How can we break the grip of simplicity and deceit? Americans have a way to hold government accountable. We vote. As a result of the failings of the press, Americans are ill-equipped to hold government accountable. And how do we hold the press accountable for that? Well, we stop voting for them. We stop giving them money. We stop giving them money and readers and viewers. We take a stand because our government and our press won't. We say we the people demand and deserve something better. We the people demand the truth. Thank you.
Bravo!